Who has ever heard of a company called Amazon? Okay, everybody's heard of Amazon, right? Okay, so let me ask you a question. If the CEO of Amazon died, quit, or got fired, would they sell off all the assets, pay off the shareholders, and shut the company down?
No.
Why not? It's a profitable business. And what they would do is just appoint a successor CEO, wouldn't they? They're probably already training a successor CEO. I mean, wouldn't you? Right? And then appoint a successor CEO. So why is it when we talk about trusts, 99% of all trusts written in the United States of America are living trusts that force you to go ahead and distribute all your assets to your heirs or charities? Does that make sense? If you can run a successful business, you can run a successful trust. It doesn't make sense that you would go ahead and spend your lifetime being successful business owners, successful franchisee owners, promoters, I don't even know the right word, forgive me. Why would you spend your lifetime building up your assets, building up your legacy, building everything up only to distribute it at the end of your lifetime? Does that make any sense whatsoever? If Amazon wouldn't do it, why would you? Does that make sense? Okay, so I'm Alan Pryor. I'm an affiliate with Nexus International. Jamie and I do this quite often. We show people how to go ahead and build legacy and use trust to maintain legacy. What's the point of building it if you can't maintain it? Does that make sense? Does that resonate? All right? Okay, perfect. All right, so I talk to business owners all the time and I ask them, what's the hardest part about being successful? Does anybody want to take a shot at that? What's the hardest part? What's the most painful part? Let me say that. What's the most painful part of success? Taxes?
Taxes.
How about that? The more I make, the more I have to pay. Does anybody resonate with that one? Okay. So what we're going to talk about today is a way to go ahead and legally defer taxes. Has anybody here ever heard of a 1040? And I just realized that one of the slides I wanted is not there. Okay. All right. Technical difficulties. Anybody relate to that? Okay. So tax avoidance is perfectly legal. I had a slide that was pulled right out of the IRS handbook that said tax avoidance is legal where tax evasion is not. Does everybody agree with that? Okay. If you've ever had a 1040, anybody filed a 1040 taxes? That's an absolute yes, right? So you totally understand tax avoidance, right? You have deductions that are allowed by the IRS, correct? Okay, tax avoidance is perfectly legal, tax evasion is not. We're not going to teach you tax evasion. You see, there's two sets of laws on the IRS code tax books right now. One is for the informed and one is for the uninformed. If you've been filing a 1040, you're then in the uninformed category. How does that make you feel? Wealthy people work through trusts and they file a 1041. Okay? What they did is they moved themselves off of the 1040 tax structure so that the uninformed people like us to this point would pay the taxes that they wanted to defer. Let me use that word again, defer. If your business was making $1 million to $2 million a year that was taxable and you could defer 97% of that, how much more money would you have available to capital? How much more money would you have towards maybe paying off your homes or reinvesting or maybe just investing for your retirement? How much more money would you have? That's a lot, right? Okay, so let's understand. There's two things at play here. One is building legacy and maintaining it. And two is being able to defer taxes indefinitely. How many of you like that word? All right. How many of you are familiar with an operating agreement? Okay, very simple. It's a legal document, right? See, most people, most of you in this room, I bet you're 100% owner of your business. Is that true? And you might have a wife partner or a life partner or something like that. Okay, you might have a partner. But most of us, when we go into business, we're the 100% owner, right? We want to own a business, then we find out really quickly the business owns us, right? Okay. So now we're the 100% owner, which means that we bear the 100% of the tax burden as well, don't we? Okay, perfect. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about maybe instead of being the 100% owner, be the 3% owner of your business. That reduces your tax exposure to what?
97%.
Well, the tax exposure would be 3% from 97%, right? So we're going to transfer 97% over to the business trust. Now, there's several different kinds of trusts. There's living trust, Delaware statutory trust, charitable remainder trust. There's all kinds of trusts, right? So what I want to talk about here is we just call it a business trust to keep it simple because it's going to be a limited partner to your business. So now you're going to be the owner, president, CEO, whatever your title is here, and you're going to be the trustee here. You know what I love about being a trustee? Is you own nothing, but you control everything. How's that sound? If you don't own it, can they steal it from you? Can they sue it away from you? And can they tax it away from you?
Nope.
So you don't want to own it, you just want to control it. Does that make sense? So if I had my car keys here, I flew in on a 5:55 flight, and I gave you my car keys, because we're out having a few drinks, and I want to have a few more than you, right? And I give you my car keys. Can somebody go to him and say, hey, that guy Alan owes me some money, let me have his car? Can you do that? Can you give the keys away? He's a custodial of it, right? Now if they come to me and ask me for my car keys, do I have them? No, he's the trustee. He is controlling it, but he doesn't own it. Does that make sense? Okay, I just want that to be the analogy we're talking about, because when 97% of your income comes here, I want you to understand you still control it. Okay? Now, who do you think has a better ability to mitigate taxes? You as the individual, as the president CEO of your LLC, or the business trust? Or we wouldn't be talking, right? Okay, so now we've moved 97% of your taxable exposure into this business trust, and from there we can put you on a path to say, okay, great, now how do I use this? How do I move this into my legacy, and how do I capitalize with my business? That's what we want to talk about over the next day or so, all right? But what I want you to understand, the purpose of our interaction is to show you how to build your legacy, put it inside or behind the trust so that you never have to break it apart or distribute it. Does anybody here have heirs? Okay, we have heirs. So we want to be able to give them the full value of our lifetime work and not segment it. Does that make sense? Okay, so what we want to do is teach you how to build that legacy. We want to teach you how to use IRS tax code and structure to go ahead and protect yourself and defer those taxes indefinitely, so you ultimately have more control. You're in the driver's seat. Let me know if you like how this sounds. You get to choose when to pay taxes and how much. Now the last thing I want to share, if you're a business owner and you make $2 or $3 million, anybody ever heard of those high-power CPAs and tax attorneys? And what they do is, well, you made $3 million, but I got you down to $60,000 in taxable. How many of you said, well, like that? Okay, you like that until you go to buy a home. And they say, well, how much have you made over the past 2 years, 3 years? They say, your tax return shows $60,000. That's not so attractive now, is it? Okay. Does anybody have an exit strategy that talks about maybe selling their business? Has anybody thought about that? Their exit strategy, hey, I want to be able to sell my business for 10 times its value. I don't know about you, but I think 10 times 3 million is much better than 10 times 600,000 or 60,000. Do you all agree on that? So when you're taking the deductions, what happens is you go ahead and reduce that value of the company, and the valuation can hurt you at the time you go to make that sale. Does that make sense? So when you use a structure like this, no, the valuation of the company does not suffer, and you get the tax advantages, you get the legacy, you get the full value of your business when you go to sell it. Does